Well, in case you haven't heard the news, I caught Payamps mania. This guy continues to be amazing. Guy who was lukewarm on early in the season, but now has become one of my favorite setup guys in Brewer history. Did the job along with three other guys at that Brewer bullpen in a 5-3 win over the Phillies. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I was on YouTube tonight looking at some of the old video of Payamps with the A's and the Royals. And I know, again, you look on YouTube and they're going to show all the greatness, okay? But we've seen greatness from Payamps all season long. I mean, this guy's just amazing. You know, early in the season, said Brewers needed an eighth inning guy, even though they had Strzelecki. But little did I know that Payamps would eventually emerge and be that eighth inning guy. Strez struggled. And, you know, even if Strez was here and is pitching so-so, Payamps is out of his mind the way he's pitching. He is pitching so well. Look at these numbers. First of all, the bullpen is just, as a whole, is great. And we can never talk enough about the bullpen. We'll get to that in a second. Payamps, since July 9th, according to Mike Fasalo, the Brewers media relations director, says one base runner since July 9th for Payamps. In that span, 1 for 28 hitters are, 13 Ks, and he set down 15 in a row. This guy's on his way to a no-hitter in a relief role, Payamps. That's how incredible he's been. The bullpen is the MVP of the Milwaukee Brewers. It is. It's the MVP. Tonight, Milner, Peguero, Payamps, and Williams. Those four guys, amazing. And what the Brewers have in their farm system, including Abner, who pitched last night. Wow. I mean, that's something he's excited about because, you know, bullpen, I don't know. I just think bullpen sometimes we look at starting pitching and bullpen is a closer and whoever we find the middle relief. And you know, some of the lousy middle relievers the Brewers have had through here, and they've been bad. Okay. But it's not anybody's fault, but middle relief is just one of those things where it could be great one year. And the next year you could have those same guys and they could stink. All right. I mean, but for right now, these guys are amazing. Okay. So I'm going to take that because our offense is terrible, but our bullpen is phenomenal. I almost said another word there, but I've been thrown off the air. But yeah, I mean, Peguero, Payamps, Milner, Williams. I mean, who's the weak link in this bullpen? None. I thought when the Brewers grabbed the 4-3 lead in the seventh inning, I thought this game was over. Okay, you grab a late lead against these guys, with these guys out of your bullpen. I mean, the opponent is history right now. Just got to scratch out a lead. The Brewers took a 4-3 lead in the seventh with Contrera on RBI double, and he did it again in the ninth inning. A rare insurance run. I couldn't believe it. Ninth inning, an insurance run. We'll talk about Contrera coming up here in a little bit. But Colin Ray went the first 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. I'm fine with that. Colin Ray gives you 5 innings, 3 runs. You better be able to get him some offense. Okay? Good for him. Colin Ray kept the Brewers at it. Guy who probably should be pitching in the minor leagues down at Nashville. Been called up here a couple of times. Pitching because of injuries. Shouldn't be in the rotation. Gave him 5 innings, 3-run baseball. Love it. Thank you. Awesome. So, yeah. I mean, I could just rave on and on about the bullpen. But I'm going to move on to other things here. Oh, I know. I never introduced myself. I do this. I have this habit of just getting into the show. And not introduce myself. Chuck Freeman here from Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all the major ones. I drop them on my all the sites on my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. We're growing every day on YouTube as well. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You're going to get your boy Freems 5 days a week talking Brewer baseball with you right here on Locked On Brewers. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Yeah, so I got off and running and got it to the meat of the show today without telling you. Thank you very much for everybody out there, all you everydayers out there, for following me on those podcast platforms and on YouTube. We're growing every day, and I love it, man. I love talking Brewer baseball, especially when our team is in first place, 10 games over the 500 mark. Contreras had 3 hits. William Contreras. I think a Kurt Hogg might have put something on Twitter tonight that people, expressed concern about Contreras' offense coming to the Brewers. You could argue he's the offensive MVP for the team this year. Clutch hit after clutch hit, 2 of them tonight. The insurance of the 9th and the double to break the tie game in the 7th inning. Now, it's a 3-0 game. Ray gave up the lead, but that's fine. The bullpen was there to rescue him. And you know what? Ray gave up the 3-0 lead, but you know what? They came back thanks to Contreras had tacked on a couple, including the go-ahead and that bullpen. We're putting all the pressure on the bullpen. I get it. 19 and a half innings, 19 and a third innings, I should say, of scoreless baseball for that bullpen. 19 and a third innings of scoreless baseball for that group. Unbelievable. High wire games. These games are, you're at the edge of your seat on these games. All of them. Now, if the Brewers get down early, the chances are they're not going to win. All right, we know that going in. But watching these guys, the strikeouts between those 4 guys tonight, the 4 innings pitched between Payamps, Peguero, Williams, and Milner, 4 innings, 7 Ks. I might just keep rattling on stats after stats after stats of just how great these guys are. All right. Let's keep it going. Because, we wouldn't be here, would not be in first place, would not have a 2.5 game lead on the Reds if not for these guys. These guys, this nucleus of the bullpen, these guys are the MVP of the Milwaukee Brewers. And how about Perkins coming through with a couple of hits? Stole the base, 2 RBIs. Brewers got on the board early on in this game and rode that to a victory. Very unusual, I thought. And I know some of you commented later in the game. Did you see the bat? And I tried finding it on YouTube again, and I didn't see anything out there. The at bat, and don't go to YouTube yet. Wait till I'm done. Wait till the show's done. Hoby Milner pitching to Bryce Harper. Harper took 6 pitches. Like Milner was some minor leaguer, little leaguer, who Harper just thought he was, that had thought he was Bryce Harper, and that Milner couldn't get 3 pitches over the plate. That Milner was somehow trying to walk Bryce Harper in that situation. Harper's ego was so huge there that he did not think Milner was going to throw him a strike. That's what it was. Harper stood at the plate thinking that Milner didn't think he was good enough, according to Harper, I believe, that Milner would not throw a strike to him. And he threw 3 of them. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Struck him out. The 6 pitches. It took all 6 of them. Had that little disrespect. Okay, you cost your team an at bat. If you want to stand there at the plate like an idiot, go ahead. Yeah, we'll take the strikeout. I mean, what are you doing? Thank you. Thank you, Hoby. Throwing right down. Yeah, then he threw right down the middle. And Harper just standing there. I mean, it almost looked like he did it. I mean, what was going on? I mean, he did that on purpose. But did he have that little disrespect for Hoby Milner at that point? That he's going to stand there, let 6 pitches go by? And Milner was teeing up for some of those for him, too. At least one of them he did. All right. I just thought that was odd. And I love the insurance run in the 9th inning. All right. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along. I heard a few of you comment that why I got to put my glasses on when I do this show. I got to put my glasses on so I could read things. Most of the show, peek behind the curtain. You know, I have some notes here, but your boy Freems is watching these games intently, getting them down. But when I got to read a script, I got to put the glasses on here. All right, here we go. For a championship team, eBay. I love eBay. I love eBay for all sorts of things, but here eBay is great for your car. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay's guaranteed fit, you can make sure every green check you make sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for that green check. And you'll know that part will fit or your money back, because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop eBay Motors with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. It's all easy, very easy to do. Very easy to bring home the win. Finding the right parts, guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Motors. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, all you everydayers out there. I can shed my glasses for you watching us on YouTube. Thank you, all you everydayers out there, for watching us every day. Locked On Brewers. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers. You're going to hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell right there. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. And, of course, I hear from a lot of you guys who drive around, follow us on the various platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. There's a ton out there that drop our podcast. You guys make us the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. Thank you, everydayers, for driving to work, listening to us. When you're making that a sales appointment, I heard a guy emailed me the other day, or not emailed me. He messaged me on Twitter, and he said that, Chuck, I listened to a whole week of shows on my drive from Milwaukee to Shawano. I said, thank you, man. For 3 hours, he listened to every show for a week because he got behind in his job. He was taking a vacation up to Shawano, and he listened to every podcast for a week's worth that he had catching up to. From Milwaukee to Shawano, I think that's like a 3-hour drive. The beautiful Shawano Lake up there. Yeah. So anyway, thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Brewers. I really appreciate it. All you following me on Twitter as well. Chuck Freeman, Freimund. And the Brewers will play an afternoon game coming up on Thursday. Actually, it'll be late morning, if you want to be technical about it. 11:35. Brewers and Phillies in the windup of the 3-game series with the Phils. And they'll have it on Sirius XM, the SXM app. Push in Brewers, plug in Brewers there, and you're going to get all 162 of the Brewers, but you get the Brewers and Phillies tomorrow, 135 on Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Brewers. We'll come right back after this break, and we'll tell you about more of You Want Hero, and we'll tell you about Brewers TV and Joey Votto to the Brewers. All that and more coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Your host, Chuck Freeman. Thank you, everybody, tuning us in either late night on Wednesday night or early. I have something on my microphone here, or early Thursday morning. update the standings real quick. As I mentioned in that previous segment, the Brewers 2.5 games ahead of Cincinnati. St. Louis has now moved into 4th place. They did a couple of days ago. They've won 5 in a row. They're 10 games under 43 and 53 and 10 games in back of the Brewers. I know the Cardinals have been talking about, well, we're going to trade guys. We're going to trade some of our veterans. I've heard that before. The Cardinals said, oh, we don't have a shot. And then, like 2011, they went on a crazy September and ended up winning not only a wild card spot, but beating the Brewers in the playoffs, the division winner, and going to the World Series and winning the World Series. So, yeah, the Cardinals say they're done. I don't think so. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now. So, hey, they climbed up to 4th place. I still got my eye on the Cardinals. Reds, though, won 3-2 on Wednesday night. So, they're hanging in there 2.5 out. Let's see what else. Oh, Keston here had 3 hits on Wednesday night. I was thinking more about this. And on the show yesterday, I said, yeah, I think the Brewers, just reading some of the things, that the Brewers would be interested maybe in bringing Keston here up. Doing more thinking about it this afternoon while I was taking some hits off the driving range today, working on my pitching wedge. And I don't know, because Councils yesterday said, well, Owen's going to get a lot of those spots. We really want Owen Miller over at first base. And then somebody asked him about the DH spot. And Counts seemed to downplay here at the DH spot when the DH spot has been absolutely brutal with Jesse Winker. Absolutely brutal. Just terrible. Might be the worst DH spot in Major League Baseball history. Yeah, and I'm not lying on that. Your everyday DH is hitting 199. That is bad, okay? Some reason he will not be bringing here up. Seems like now, according to Pat Murphy, it sounded like they were going to when he was talking to Tim Allen the other day. But then you read Council's comments. Said, oh, we thought about Hira, but apparently not thought about it enough. We'll see. I know Matt Arnold had some, and I don't know what that was all about, but Arnold said, well, I think that this was early in the season after Hira was sent down to start the season. Said, I think Keston still has a bright future in this league. I don't know. And maybe other major league teams feel the same way, because they would have gone after Hira, don't you think? If somebody thought that Hira could play all these 32 major league teams and nobody dipped a toe in and tried to pick up Hira, again, he continues to hit. I saw Brewer Fanatic, I think it was, on Twitter, wrote a little piece about the possibility of the Brewers getting Joey Votto. I don't think the Reds are calling up some young talent. Votto is a veteran presence on that team, and his presence, I mean, they got Ellie De La Cruz, who was on fire during that winning streak that they had. But Joey Votto is back, and he's like the veteran part of that team. He doesn't hit cleanup anymore. He hits 5 or 6. Would Joey Votto, and his numbers aren't bad, and we saw what he did against the Brewers. Okay, last time the Reds were playing the Brewers at AmFam Field. So Joey could hit. Would the Brewers be interested in trading for Joey Votto, but would the Reds be willing to trade Votto to the Brewers? I just think the Reds wouldn't do. Now, I think another major league team might think of it. But since the Reds and the Brewers are in the same division, I kind of like to think that, I don't want to think this way, but the Reds management, if they traded Joey Votto, who's loved in Cincinnati, to a team they're fighting for a division title with, and somehow the Brewers, Votto came here, caught fire and helped lead the Brewers to a pennant. God, somebody would get hell in Cincinnati. So, I mean, they might trade Votto, but it's not going to be to anybody in the NL Central. They're not helping the Brewers win the NL Central because of the chance. You know, they take the chance that Votto comes here and just lights things up. So that's my take on that. All right, we come back. We're going to talk about tomorrow's matchups in the finale of the series. And are we going to be able to continue to see Brewers baseball on Bally Sports, Wisconsin? Okay. It's getting a little tenuous with some of the Bally Sports properties out there. They're in bankruptcy. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman back here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Yeah, Bally Sports, the company that owns Bally Sports, Diamond Sports, filed for bankruptcy back in March. And so far, the Padres got out of their agreement, Arizona now, and the Brewers are under that Bally Sports umbrella. Could they be next? There's no way if that happened. Okay, if that happened, there's no way that present ownership is going to allow the Brewers to go dark on TV. And when I say dark on TV, fade off, fade the black, no Brewer broadcasts on TV. That's not going to happen. Okay, that will not happen. Arizona's not letting it happen. San Diego didn't let it happen. There's no way Atanasio is going to, especially with the Brewers in the pennant race, is not going to allow that to go away. And now, from reading the article by J.R. Radcliffe, our buddy from the Journal Sentinel online, sounds like the Brewers would be one of the last franchises to lose the Bally Sports tag. So, but if it wasn't, they would find a way to get these games back on TV. Somebody would pick them up. They would do something. We're not missing any Brewers baseball. Okay, we're not missing any baseball. Now, what happens in the offseason, I don't know. But we're never going to be without Brewers baseball. I have a feeling somewhere down the line, this is my gut feeling, and this happened back in the 80s, 40 years ago. There was a cable TV station called SportsView. It was a partnership between the Brewers and the Bucks. And SportsView, you had to pay $25, and you got Bucks. You got a select number of Bucks home games and a select number of Brewer games. And now you're telling me, well, it was only a select number of games. But back then, the feeling between the Brewers organization and the Bucks organization, the mentality was, we're not going to show home games on over-the-air TV because it's going to keep people away from the ballparks and the stadiums, which is completely stupid. It's just, that's not a good business decision. Okay. But so what the SportsView showed Brewers and Bucks home games, but it only lasted for like a year. I think it was 1983. I want to say it lasted. And then it went bankrupt and it went away because I think you had to pay $20 and $25. And this was the early days of cable TV in Wisconsin. And not everybody had cable in Milwaukee. Just the suburbs really did. So, but I think what could happen again somewhere down the road is we could see a partnership again with the Bucks and Brewers having their own cable TV network. You see the Cubs do it. The Yankees do it. I think what you're going to see in professional sports, some of these teams are going to combine and have and own the rights to their team. Own the rights. They're going to own the broadcast rights. They're going to own their own broadcast rights. I don't know if that's good or bad for the consumer, but I think that's the way it's going to end up. It's my gut feeling. Down the road, I bet you we could see a Brewers-Bucks consolidation on a local sports network. Games will never go dark. We will always get our Brewers. We'll always get our Bucks. They're going to continue to show home games. This isn't 1983 anymore. So, all right, the starting pitchers Corbin Burnes for Milwaukee, Taijuan Walker, who's really good, quietly off to an 11-3 start. Started the season giving up home runs left and right. I mean, his first, 57 innings, he gave up 10 home runs. Since then, the home runs have been silenced and the wins have increased for Taijuan Walker. That's who the Brewers are facing coming up. And Corbin Burnes coming off that 13 strikeout performance on Saturday night. He gets the ball Thursday. Let's finish off the road trip, head home. Got the Braves coming into town this weekend. A first of 3 on Friday night. I'm looking forward to being out there and covering the games against Atlanta. And, looking forward to this game tomorrow, 11:35 with that first pitch. Catch it on Sirius XM, the SXM app, search Brewers, and it'll be right there for you. All 162 of the Brewers on Sirius XM. That's going to do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Brewers part of your everyday listen. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. I'm Chuck Freeman. We'll talk to you all on Thursday night, Friday morning, everybody.